Hello and welcome back to Aylowe's Space Race Part 5, the fifth and final installment of this series. So we're going to finally get to the end and see what this whole assignment looked like when I was done. And the last episode, if you watched that, we saw that I was trying to set up the AI ships to move. So I had to put in all these waypoints so that they would go to each individual ring, then go to the next one and the next one, and it wasn't working. Now, my theory as to why it wasn't working is that I needed to put in a speed variable and then multiply the move direction by speed. And we were going to come back and see if that worked. So I don't know what I do, but let's jump into it and see what happens and where I go and if and how I figure it out. So let's take a look. And this is the thing, especially like first year of coding, I didn't know much. This year of coding, still don't know much, but I know a bit more. It's a lot of trial and error. I'm trying to figure out what to do and how to get things to move. So, serialized fields. Doing a serialized field again. I've spoken at length about how much my teacher hates this, but I will still do it, and I still do it today. And I'm not going to stop. So I'm putting in a flow to speed, so that didn't take long. 1,000, that seems like quite a lot, especially when my speed, I think, is like 100 for the player. But the good thing about making it serialized is that I can change that in the inspector and lower it down if it's too fast, and I don't have to come back into the code and keep doing it. That's why serialized fields are good, despite what my teacher says. In the last episode, towards the end, there were a few weird cuts because I explained that I was jumping back and forward between my teacher's website, where he puts up little tutorials and stuff. And what we go over in class, he puts that up on the website so we can go back and look at the notes and see what he's done. So I believe that this will happen in this video as well, so there may be some odd cuts and me just kind of being here 1 second and being over here the second and over here. So bear with me. Or don't, you know? You can always click off. I ain't forcing anybody to watch this stuff. The enemy controller. No. And we're back. Supercuts. Moving the enemy controller down to enemy move is not a good idea, because enemy controller setting it, you need to set it in start. So this is bad. This is a bad idea. I made it public though, so I could just assign it in the inspector. But it is nice. Now I'm learning, guys. Oh, no, put it back. So I don't know why I moved it. I don't know what I'm doing. Just like in life, don't know what I'm doing, don't know where I'm going. And at the minute I'm not going anywhere because we're all stuck inside. So when all this coronavirus stuff kicked off, there were talks of, it was getting worse in China and Italy and stuff. And it was starting to get worse here in Ireland. And there was talks of, everything shutting down. So it was before we brought in all the social distancing and all the non-essential businesses closed. My birthday is the day before St. Patrick's Day over here. So that was a Tuesday, I believe. And I had planned to go to the pub on Tuesday on my birthday and have drinks with my friends. And then the weekend beforehand, I was thinking to myself, should I just invite people out for drinks on the Saturday, just on the off chance that the pubs close early because of this whole coronavirus thing? And then I was like, no, sure, they're not going to close before St. Patrick's Day. It's the biggest day of the year for them. Lo and behold, Sunday, a message went out that the pubs were closing Sunday at midnight. So I never got to have drinks for my birthday. So you can see here, I am flying the player ship. I cannot tell if the enemy ships are moving. It would be a good thing. Oh, they aren't, because I have the sparrow selected, and that is, but it's just moving forward. It's not going to any of the rings yet. But it is moving, so that's good. So yeah, Ireland with no pubs. Crazy. The off licenses are still open, so we can still go and buy drink and drink at home if we want. And I think it's quite funny that in Ireland the all non-essential businesses are closed, but the pubs or the off licenses are still open, because obviously they're an essential business over here. Sure, what else would you do? Just drink yourself stupid at home. But we'll see how long this lasts. I did hear today a distressing rumour that the pubs will not be open until the 1st of September at the earliest, which is disappointing because I'm a member of my local drama group, Clondalkin Drama Group. Check us out on YouTube. And we were rehearsing for The Importance of Being Earnest, which was supposed to go on in May, but obviously this all kicked off. So we can't do it, because we were rehearsing upstairs in the pub, and we put it on upstairs in the pub. So that couldn't go ahead, and so we were planning on doing it in September. But if the pub isn't opening until the start of September, that means we'll have to push it back again, because we can't rehearse it. So it might be next year by the time we do it. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I have stopped for some reason. So I've got the outer boundary selected. Why have I stopped? Checking something on the website. Other cut. Super cut. I got a compliment on my hair from one of my previous videos. So thank you. The good thing about having long hair during this time is that I don't have to worry about the barbers all being closed. Except when I want to get the undercut reshaved. But I could probably do that myself. Took ages to grow this out, so I'm quite happy that it was worth it in the end, because now I don't have to worry about my hair getting all long and messy, because it's already long and messy. So yeah. How are you all dealing with the barbers being closed? I mean, you don't have to go outside, so it's not that bad. It doesn't matter what your hair looks like. Yeah, but comment below if you've been cutting your own hair. Ooh, it would scare me to do that, because I don't think I'd be very good at it. I guess it's all practice. So I'm putting in another game object called start, which I assume will be the first waypoint. It should appear here. Enemy already contains a definition for start. Oh yeah. It'd have to be, yeah, because it has a function called start with a capital S, so you'd have to call it a lowercase s, start. Otherwise it thinks that you're trying to call the start function again. Or referencing the start function. So start there. So we're going to put the start waypoint into it. And then on trigger enter. Okay. So in one of the previous videos, I think it was the last one, the one before that, part 2 or 3 or 4, who knows. You saw me, I think it was the last one actually, you saw me put in like spheres inside each of the rings, and then I would just turn them invisible. They were going to be triggers for the enemy ship going through. So I'm actually setting that up here. So super cut. If the enemy goes through, I can't help myself. If it's the Red Bull, I really think it is. If the enemy goes through the sphere, Supercut. If the enemy goes through the sphere, it will look at the next waypoint. Now, I think the way I think I've seen it when the website that I can't show has been popping up. Supercut, the website that keeps interrupting me, is the way they do. The way it was the way my teacher did it was he individually typed out each of these waypoints. But again, I think he had 3, so it was quite easy for him to just copy and paste and then put in the new waypoint. So if it's the first waypoint you go through, then you look at the second waypoint, and then if it's the second waypoint, you go to the third one, and that kind of stuff. I have 20 waypoints, plus the start waypoint and the final waypoint. So I have to type them all out individually. Now, I did know at the time that it was possible to use an array, and then you could just increment the array. So if you hit the first object in the array, then you go on to the second object and the third. But I didn't know how to implement it at this stage. It'd be something I could try now, but I've not really used game arrays much yet, so it would be another, but I know it's possible, so it would have been much easier than actually typing out 20 if other.tag equals waypoint, transform look at waypoint. So we'll just scrub through this because it is just me typing it out. It also means I'd have to go through each individual waypoint and change the tags to, which I might have done in the last video, waypoints and then their numbers. And because these are all strings, this has to match up exactly to what I named the tag, including capital letters, spaces, and all that kind of stuff. So strings are a bit of a bitch because it won't pop up an error if you spell it wrong, but it won't work. So you'll have to go back and check all your strings if something's not working the way you expect it to be. So waypoints. So this video is going to be much shorter than I thought it was going to be. Okay. So we've got them all there. We're going to hit play. And now the enemy's AIs should be, now they've zoomed off because their speed is 1,000. So I'm going to fly through. And I don't think I'm ever going to catch up to them. So I need to lower their speed really if I want to see it. So, but at least I know they're moving. So let's take a look. So they've zoomed off, and I think it worked. We saw them heading up towards the first waypoint. I'm lost. Where did they go? Hello? So I could track them in the scene view, as I did before. Like, there we go. I think that's what I'm doing now. Hit F to focus on an object. I'd have to turn off maximize on play though, because otherwise this will happen. So yeah, we definitely saw it there. They went forward and then they zoomed up to the next one. If it works for one, as long as I've spelt everything correctly in the strings, it should work for them all, but turn the speed down. 1,000 was way too high. Yeah, turn the speed down on both of them. And match my speed. So, oh, where'd they go? There they are. So now they're going quite slow, but you can see they're heading up into the ring. I've zoomed off ahead of them. Lost them again. There they go. Up to the next one. So I'd have to either up their speed or lower my speed because I am jumping miles away from them. Yeah, there they go. So it's hard to keep track of them. And this is the thing about having to do, well, I mean, partly having to do everything yourself, but also it'll go back to that. I'm going to go back to that argument I keep having with my teacher about serialized fields. And I've said this in previous videos, probably all of them, because it's something that I really think is important and very true. When you're programming, you don't know what values are going to work. So I put in 1,000. I knew that was going to be too big, but anyway, I don't know what the correct value is. As a designer, I have to get the feeling of the game right. So, I mean, I could have them all at the same speed and they're moving, but if it's too slow for a race or too fast for a race, players aren't going to be interested in it, even if it does work. So the designer has to keep tweaking these values as I play it. But the programmer doesn't have to worry about that. But if you're both the programmer and the designer, then you are going to have to keep playing it and then tweak the settings, tweak the speeds. My player now is much... Oh no, that is the enemy. He's moving very slowly. But yeah, so that's why I think serialized fields are so much better. And I've said it before, if my teacher has such a problem with it, I mean, I can use them and then delete them afterwards once I have all the settings right. Because I have this, right, so the speed here is 100 for the enemy. Now, I can change this while this is playing and find a value that I think actually works better. Now, when you stop playing, you will lose whatever you change here. So you'll need to remember the value. Change it when you're not playing it, and then it will save it. It doesn't update. It doesn't save what you put in during runtime when this is playing. But you can either copy and paste the value back in, or just write them down, or remember them if you're only changing one. So you'll see me here, like, while it's playing, I'm zooming it up. He's stopped moving. He shouldn't have. Why has he stopped? Oh, there's an error. There's an error. Position with local offset time for Spartan is not valid in position. Okay, so there was an error there, but it does normally work. I swear. So now I've just put in 800, another arbitrary random number. And if I didn't have these fields exposed, using the dreaded serialized fields, I'd have to go into the code every time and type in the number, save the script, come back to the game, play it. That didn't work, go back to the code, change the number in the script, come back, save it, come back. It's just much harder. Now, I could make the variable public in the script so that it appears here anyway, but then that means that other scripts might be able to interact with it in ways that you don't expect. Now, in a project like this, which is really small, that's not really an issue, because it's unlikely that there's not going to be that many scripts, and it's unlikely that anything is going to interact. But I think it's good practice to learn early on, even in small projects, that you need to keep your scripts contained so that things don't kind of interact with each other in ways they're not supposed to. Because that can be just a nightmare to track down what the problem is then if you're dealing with, you know, like I've said it before, the big project I'm working on at the minute has, I think, about 15 scripts, which is by far the most I've had for any project. Now, they're not all huge scripts. Some of them are, you know, just a couple of lines for whatever. We'll get to it when I get to those videos. But even still, it's if you're doing it, that's one level in one project, and it's got 15 scripts already. So, and I'm not done. So there will be more by the end of it. Now, if you're doing a full game, you're probably going to have hundreds or thousands of scripts. And you don't want them all interacting in ways that they shouldn't, because then you'll have to, when there's an error or a problem, you'll have to kind of try to figure out where that problem is. Now, what I'm doing here is desperately trying to... I'm going to have to do it for all of them. That's a pain. I'm tweaking the size of the collider, the trigger, inside the waypoint, because what was happening was that because the sphere was coming outside of the ring, and it's a non-trigger enter, as soon as the ship hit that trigger, it would immediately start for the next one. So it was actually, ideally, this should be kind of more flat, so that it didn't hit the trigger until it was inside the ring, basically, and then it would turn and head towards the next one. So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it's not that difficult. I don't know why it's taking me this long. Literally just edit the thing. It's not on the ring, it's on on the sphere, and then you just edit the collider, and then you grab one of these little points and drag it in. And then drag it in. I mean, I could have just done a box collider as well. You know, easy things. Now, I can see that, where are we at now? We've been recording for 20 minutes. I thought there was an hour left on this video, but with scrubbing through all the boring stuff of me just typing out the individual waypoints and having to cut out the supercut, the website coming up, there's like 5 minutes left in this video. I did say in the last video, and I do intend to get up the final project, which I believe I haven't actually looked for it, but I believe I have it saved on my computer. If I don't have the build, I should at least have the Unity project. So I will open that up and play through it and show you what the finished project looked like. But this is basically done. In terms of, now I've got an AI that will fly the race, fly the track. I have a ship that moves, I can fly through it. I have an out of bounds section boundary box, and I have a finish line. Now I haven't set the finish line up, I haven't coded it to work in these videos, and obviously there's no recordings left, so I must have done that in college, or, you know, once again just did it at home and forgot to hit record or open OBS, not even hit record. I think I have at one stage opened OBS and not hit record, and just spent the whole day working, going, oh yeah, I got so much done, so much recorded, I'm going to have so much content, and then I look at OBS and it's like, yeah, start recording, like, fuck. But, so I'm, obviously my ship, the player ship, is going too fast in comparison to the enemy ships, the AI. I'm just following them around to make sure that they go to each ring in the correct sequence. Make sure that all my code, my strings have been spelled correctly, and that they're going to one. Once they get to that, they'll look at the next one and zoom off to the next one. And eventually they'll get to the finish line. So I do have to code it so that if they get there before the player, then the player loses. If the player gets there before them, then the player wins. And if the player goes out of bounds, then I can't remember exactly what I said, whether it was immediately disqualified or there was a chance to get back inside the track. So, but if I can find that final build, then we can see. I'll test all that out, record it, and talk through it as I play. So that should be interesting. 2 minutes 45 seconds left on this video. So I reckon all I do is get to the end, just to make sure that they're still going right. So they've got, and zoom up to the next ring, and through the ring, and zoom down to the next one. Now it's not perfect. They're going quite jerky through the rings and pointing at the next one, but they're still going in the right direction. Plus, it's because they're quite small and difficult to see, and they've flown through. So that is basically it. That all works. I could have, and can now, probably smooth that out a little bit and make it a little bit more kind of realistic. I have said before that I'm using vector 3s and transforms and stuff to move them when I really should be using rigid bodies and forces, because that is physics and that is how ships move in space. Really, it's all about forces and thrust and that kind of stuff. So this movement is a little bit more mechanic than I would like, but it works. I was following along the code that my teacher had put up on that website, which is why all the supercuts kept happening. And he was kind of teaching us how to do a racing game with cars and a road and stuff. But he still really should have been using physics, because that doesn't really matter. So there's 1 minute left on this video. that I'm watching, not the video that you're watching. 50 seconds. I don't think I do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this here. We're going to do another super cut. And when we come back, I should have the final project open. So bear with me. Okay. And we're back with Space Race by me. Back when I had short hair. This had to be done. I had to have this on every assignment that I did for this particular teacher because, you know, just in case you didn't know who I was. So I have a main menu, which is good. Just play or quit, very simple. Debris field background because, you know, gotta get in that debris that I never actually used. So we're gonna hit play and see what happens. Okay, so, oh, these are inverted. Why did I do that? So I'll just fly through. What I'm gonna do is first things first. What happens when I go out of bounds? I thought I implemented. Also, yeah, out of bounds, you are disqualified. So I got that working. So we will restart it. Now, before I restart, you can see here. If you look at the back of the ship, this bit here, when I start, you'll see that there's nothing there. I did put in a particle system that shows a thruster. It's not the best particle system I've ever done. It doesn't look like it could move anything, let alone a ship. But, so we'll have a look. Restart. Restart. Does that not work? Restart. Oh, it does, yeah. So you can see it's not there. And my mouse cursor has been switched off so that I can't point it out to you. I don't know where the enemies are, so I don't know if I'm ahead of them or behind them. You can see it's starting to turn up now. That didn't ding. So I've said it before, I never actually set it up that you have to go through these in order. Which I can do, and I probably should have done. Oh, the particle system's getting bigger. It really doesn't look like a thruster though, does it? And it doesn't look like it's moving. Now I think I've simulated that in local space so it sticks to the ship. If I simulate it in world space, it would be a little bit more, the particles would stay in the world, so it would look a little bit more like they're trailing off the ship rather than traveling with the ship. But that's something I've learned through practicing with them. The music's pretty good though, I like it. So, we're getting there. I hope I'm still ahead of the enemies, I don't know. I think their speed is a little bit lower than mine, so I made it easy for me to win. And I'm guessing that I put in a win screen as well, which would be, and a lose screen I would guess. But I'm not going to make you wait until I get to the lose screen. So come through the last one and you win. So we're going to restart that. I'm going to show you how I can cheat. Because I left this in, and it was one of the first things my teacher said to me, was that you can just cheat. You can just turn around and go boom. And that is why I was trying to get either the track that I had modeled in 3ds Max, if you've been following along with this series, had a little bit cut out of it, kind of going in. Look up the videos and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. It's hard to describe. But I wanted to have that because then I could have used a mesh collider as a trigger, and then when you left that, it would disqualify you. And it's also then, I couldn't get that to work, so I deleted that, and I moved on to trying to get the debris field in. But with thousands of bits of debris, that also did not work, so I can cheat. Now I could, as I said, have coded it that you had to go through the rings in sequence, and that could have been easily done with like booleans, so that you can't cheat like that, but you can. So that's it. I'm not going to bother showing you the lose screen. There is also a lose screen, which is basically just you lose, restart, quit, main menu. So that's it. That is my space race. This video was a lot shorter than I was expecting, but hey, it means I can get on to the next one quicker. So that was my space race. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. feel free to leave any comments down below. Anything you want to see in the future, anything you thought about this. Are you interested in game development? Do you know anyone that might be interested? Are you a mature student going back to college with a lot of 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and how does that make you feel? If you're in college at the minute, how are you getting on with the whole working from home and colleges being closed and all that kind of stuff? So just leave the comments below. I'm happy to interact with everybody and find out what's on everyone's mind and what everyone thinks of this kind of stuff. So also consider subscribing to the channel if you want to find out more, and hit the bell icon and do all that kind of cool stuff. Helps me out, gets this channel growing, which is what I want to do. And I will super cut out of here and see you in the next one.